So we're about to learn how to run code from an actual JavaScript file. Not just our good friend the console, but actually from a script that we then include in an HTML document. We open that in the browser, kind of like the way we include a CSS style sheet in an HTML document. But before we do that, I need to mention a couple of things, a couple of important methods that you'll want to know about. And the first one is called console.log. Now, console.log is not very exciting. In other languages, it would just be called print. I don't know why it's console.log. It's just the JavaScript way. And this is going to print whatever arguments we pass in to our console. So if we run this in the console, it seems kind of ridiculous to do console.log hello. It prints out hello, right? We don't really need that if we're working in the console. If I want to see the value of something like 1 plus 4, I can just type it in and get 5. But when I'm working in a file, that file is completely disconnected from my console. I don't see anything that I'm typing in that file. I don't see live feedback. Remember this term REPL? Read, evaluate, print, loop. Well, this is a REPL. When I run my code in a file, it's more like read, evaluate. So in order to print anything out, we can use console.log. You can pass in multiple arguments. So I can do something like 1 plus 4, hi, and true. Those all get printed out separated by spaces. Now this console thing is actually an object. Remember how we had math? And there's a bunch of these methods on math. Math dots, a whole bunch of stuff. Ceiling, random, floor, power. Well, console's not as complicated. Console dot. But we have things like console dot, well, clear, console dot error, console dot warning, console dot time. Console.log is the most common one. I think I said warning, it's warn. But if I do warn, warning, it's going to print it out differently, right? It makes it clear that it's a warning, gives us this little warning sign. And I can do a console.error. Here's my error, and it prints out just like I would see if I did something like this. I mean, the error message is different, but it's showing up in the same color, in the same way in my console. So console.log is what we'll be using. And then also, while we're here, another method that you might care about, another two. First one is called alert. And alert is going to print out something to the user, but not in the console. So if I do something like hi there, and I hit enter, can you see I get this pop-up? It's really annoying when websites do this, so I don't recommend you do this in any production apps, but it is a thing that you may see. And another option is something called prompt. So prompt is going to accept an argument. How about this? Please enter a number. And if I hit enter, it actually pops up and asks a user to enter a number. So let's enter 13. Okay? So it just now shows me the string 13. Normally what we do is save that to a variable, like let num or user input equal prompt. So now enter a number, let's go with 97. And if I look at user input, we have the string 97. So that is something that may be useful for us for some of these early exercises and sort of, I won't say project, but little demos where we need to get some user input. Typically, if you need user input, you make a form, right? We make an input in the browser with HTML, and we can use JavaScript once we learn how to connect the two. But we don't know that yet. So prompt is an easy way to get some user input, to prompt a user. And then it gives us a string. So if we're trying to do math with this, for example, I wanted to compare it to a number, or I want to add something to 97. I want to add 1. Let's say it's a birth year or birthday. I want to add 1, so we go up to 98. Well, I can't really do this, right? I get 971. I'm concatenating two strings. Well, this is a number, but it's going to be turned into a string, and then it will be concatenated. What we want instead is to turn this into a number. And there's a way of doing this. Parse int, user input. That gives us the integer 97. So it accepts a string and will parse an integer from it. So I can have parse int of the string 101, right? I get 101. If I have letters in there, it's going to try and find the integer. It can be a little bit janky at times, but it's trying to extract a number, and actually it will give you a number instead of a string. So I can now add 1 to that. I can do parse int of user input plus 1. We get 98. All right, so those are a couple of methods. Really, console.log is the key one for now. It seems useless, but in the next video, it will become a lot more useful when we're actually running code from a file.